Hi, everyone. Welcome to Happy to See Me. I'm Erika Casupanan. This week, I'm so excited to welcome Julie Nolke. Most people know Julie as this comedic YouTube creator, and she hit it big during the pandemic with this YouTube series called Explaining the Pandemic to My Past Self. However, before that, she spent many years as an actress trying to really make it. We talk about the bad advice she got leaving theater school. We talk about years of making content without anybody watching and really having the perseverance to keep going. And we talk about her leaving the success that she had as a food creator to really follow her passion of comedy. I am so inspired by her. I hope you love this conversation. Also, fun fact, Julie and I have a history, so we talk about how we've actually known each other for a long time. I've known her since before my hair was this purple. Before we get into it, I want to thank everybody who has supported Happy to See Me so far. So if you have watched the show on YouTube or listened to the podcast, thank you so much. Truly, it means a lot to know that you are there and you're sticking with us. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, review the podcast on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Watch the podcast on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at Happy to See Me Pod. All right, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Julie. Let's get into it. Hi, Julie. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. It's been forever.
I know. Okay, let's start there because, fun fact, we have a bit of a history. Can you share how we know each other?
We're sworn enemies from at birth, I think. No,
there you go.
We went to the same boxing gym. We were just like the badass little nuggets at this boxing gym.
We were, yeah. Fun fact, Julie and I used to box together. Way back. That was years ago now.
I know. I feel bad. I've like moved out of that neighborhood now, but that was such a good community. It was like you, me, and Megan. We're all these like little petite women just trying to hold our own in this like very official boxing gym.
Yes, it was as rough as it could be. And not that it was rough, but I mean, it smelled like a boxing gym. It was a lot of dudes. All of them were so nice. Don't get me wrong. I loved that gym. But then when you joined the gym, I'm like, yes, somebody my size. And I loved when I would go to the class and I'd see you were there because I feel like the experience is so different based on who your partner is. So when I would see you there, I'd be like, yes, somebody that I can actually like hold my own against.
Gosh. You're so right. Also, like, I should not have been to a boxing gym because like I really don't like other people's sweat. So I always like getting paired up with you because whenever I got paired up with one of the boys, like, and they punch, like some of their sweat ends up on your face, or like I've had it in my mouth before.
Ew.
Yeah, it was not for me. Anyway, we were badass.
We had close proximity in terms of boxing, but we never exchanged sweat, which is great.
No, I don't think so.
And what I love about that is now when I think about everything you've accomplished since then, because I feel like when people think Julie Nolke, they think, oh, viral YouTube sensation, actress, comedian. However, when we were out there not sweating on each other, you were in a very different spot. The things that you were working on were quite different. And I think about your story over the last few years. And honestly, I'm so proud of you. And it's been such an inspiration to see your persistence and to see where you are now. And I would love to talk about your whole journey because it's such an inspiration to me, truly.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. And I could say the same for you because I do remember going to that boxing gym and you were, I think you were still working for Kijiji, but you were like traveling a bunch. And I was like, man, this chick's got like, she's destined for some big shit for sure. Cause you just have had such a clear head from the beginning. But, yeah, our paths, both of us have kind of taken very interesting routes. And ultimately, I think, I'm speaking for you now, have like led us to where we're supposed to be a little bit.
Agree.
But yeah, what Erika's referring to for the listeners is that I've been on YouTube for many, many years. And I started initially with a cooking show. I mean, my background is in acting, but I decided to pursue cooking because I wanted something a little bit different. It was kind of a hobby that I really enjoyed. And I was able to make kind of a pretty modest living through making online videos and doing a little bit of travel and, cooking for different companies around the world. And yeah, and then I don't know, something happened. I hit a fork in the road where I got to decide if I kind of wanted to maintain being a cooking host and like keep pursuing that, or if I wanted to put a pin in that and pursue what was my true passion, my true reason for being in Toronto, which was to be an actor. And so that's ultimately what I decided to do. I quit the cooking show, and I kind of doubled down on sketches and comedy and writing and acting, because that's what I had been working on previously, but wasn't really sharing with the world so much. And then in 2020, I had a video go viral, and it kind of all snowballed from there. And now look at us. We've got such cool careers now.
Yeah, look at us. Now we're instead of hitting each other, even though we never actually hit each other, we're talking to each other in these printed Hawaiian Miami Vice type shirts over Zoom.
Oh my God, they are Miami Vice too.
We're really in big places now. There's so much about your journey that I want to get into. I want to start from the beginning. What made you decide to pursue acting?
I think that I've always had I've always been very good at academia and really enjoyed that part of my brain, but I've always had a very creative side to me. And I was trying to figure out ultimately what career I could do that could involve both those things. And so when I was in high school and it came down to deciding the rest of your life, which is so ridiculous that we put that on 18-year-olds, I had a scholarship to go to an engineering program. And that was a potential option. I thought that was kind of cool because I like the critical thinking and the troubleshooting aspect of it. But it didn't scratch the creative itch. And I had done a lot of improv in high school and a lot of performances in high school. And so I said, well, what the hell? I'm going to audition for acting because I think it will be fun. And life is about having fun. And we'll just see what happens. And no, traditionally acting is not a field where you're using troubleshooting and critical thinking. But I have found myself in this like little sliver of a niche career, I guess, where I kind of get to do it all. I get to be creative and write and play silly characters, but I also am a businesswoman and an entrepreneur. And so that's able to fulfill those different things. So I think I would have found this career no matter what, or like a shade of it. But that's ultimately what I was looking for as I was finding myself in my early 20s.
Right. Okay. And then your experience in theater school, what was that like? And that experience, did it give you the confidence to actually go into the world and become an actress?
Well, unfortunately, no.
Oh, great. We love that. We love that you spent all that money on that.
I spent so much money. No, look, theater school definitely had some benefits. And I know that there are people who really get a lot from it. I went to a very traditional acting conservatory school, and it's different now. And I have heard it's different, but at the time they were really focused on that like old adage of, oh, we have to break down actors. We have to break down their egos, get rid of all of their habits, and then we build them back up again. But I am fragile, and I didn't need to be broken down. I didn't have an ego. And so there was a lot of I think there was a lot of damage done just in terms of my self-confidence. I graduated that program and I was angry. I was like angry at the industry. I was angry at my peers at being forced to be so competitive with them, when in actuality, the film and television industry, like acting wise, is so communal and it's very supportive. And I hated the idea that at that early age, when we were all trying to find ourselves and figure out what we wanted to do, when we were being brave and we were taking risks, to then be pinned against each other, I think was really toxic. So I did not have a great time. I think that the faculty that I had was very old school. And that's just kind of, it's an old institution. They were old school. I was told that I wasn't funny. I was told to
screw them.
I know. I was told to focus on being like an ingenue, because that's my hit. That's what they call it in the industry. what do you look like? Because that's only what you're ever going to be cast as. So mine was like girl next door, kind of like love interest. And so they were like, don't do any of the funny shit. Like, you're never going to be cast for that. Focus on this stuff. So anyway, sorry, I'm meandering now. After I graduated, that's partially why I did the cooking show, is because I was a little bit heartbroken from acting. I was like, man, I can't do the thing that I really want to do, which is be funny.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably took me, I want to say like a good 3 years to get strong enough, more secure in myself, more secure in my voice, more confident for me to go, no, I'm gonna do what actually makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be what's most important. It's not about being famous and, getting all the Hallmark movies in the world. More about just like building a life where you can have longevity, because it's such a tough career. How are you finding it? Because you're in this space now.
Good question. Honestly, you know what? I think that what I enjoy about it and where I'm fortunate is I was on the show. So there are people who know who I am. I don't think I'm famous. I don't think I'm a celebrity by any means. And also, I feel like there's this misconception that you go on a show like this and all of a sudden everybody's knocking on my door offering me all of this stuff. That is not true. That does not happen. If anything, if I knock on someone's door, they're like, oh, okay, you were that girl from that show. What do you have to say? And it's still on me to try to earn my entry into the room, or earn my entry through the door. So that's a challenge. But at the same time, I think that what's so exciting is I'm able to really, I don't have the same limits that I ever had on myself before. I'm able to explore and figure out what I want to contribute to the world. Because I've spent the last however many years using all of the skills that I had to tell stories for clients or businesses I represented, or I would literally ghostwrite for other people, and I would stand on the side of the stage as somebody is reading off words that I wrote for them. And now it's me, which is amazing, also terrifying and very unstable. But I would rather do that than anything else at this point.
Yeah, but that's so incredible. I almost feel like there's like a threshold that you hit of maturity where you just, at some point you go, God, I just want to build the life that makes me happy. It's less about this like constant pursuit of success or cloud chasing or whatever it is. It's more about, do I like this opportunity? Is this going to be fun? Or, but you've got so much confidence now because there's really not a lot to lose, because both you and I have just done every career under the sun before this, that it's like, no, I know how to make money. I can go back to serving. I worked corporate jobs. So it's like every day you've got to wake up and it's got to be enjoyable. Otherwise, what was the point in the first place?
100%. And the thing is, it's scary to live like that. And I think you have to go through all of the trials and the errors and the failures and the listening to advice that probably people gave with the best intent, but it wasn't quite the right advice for you, and realizing that you should have trusted your gut the whole time. You have to do all of that in order to be able to take the risk. And when you came out of film school, sorry, not the film school, when you came out of theater school and you were told, okay, go for these ingenue roles, did you do the ingenue thing for a few years? And did you find any success doing that?
I did. I attempted very hard. It's kind of like a point of pride. When I graduated theater school, I didn't get a job, like a real paying job, for 7 years.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it was a long time. Not for lack of trying. I had agent after agent. I've been dropped by many agents. I was trying to audition. I wasn't really getting into the rooms or the roles that were fitting me. Yeah. Anyway, so it was a very long dry spell, but I'm also very thankful for that, because that in that dry spell is where I kind of became, oh my God, this is so corny, but like invincible. Like, it was just, I had hit the lowest low. I mean, not working as an actor for 7 years, that's literally the world telling you should probably get a different career. And I was just so adamant that this was for me, that now it feels like I'm untouchable. It feels like casting directors could say, we don't want you. YouTube comments could say, this is your worst video, whatever it is. And I don't know. I built up this really strong ego, not in a negative way, not in like a narcissistic way, but in a way of like, oh no, I'm just going to do it because it's what I love. And you might not accept it in this moment, but that's also okay because I'm going to keep doing it. And so I did attempt, but I unsuccessfully.
I feel like the quote unquote failure in that has granted you so much freedom, because think of the alternative. Imagine if you actually booked girl next door role after girl next door role in every rom-com, every Lifetime movie. You could have been in a different position where you'd feel like, oh, I'm stuck doing this. I have to keep doing this. But instead, your slate is clean and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because in YouTube, the pursuit of YouTube allowed me to realize how much I freaking love writing and producing and editing, and how those are like such a part of my creative expression and what I love to do. You're so right. Like if I do love acting, but to just be kind of a pawn in this larger machine where you kind of check in, check out, and that's all your day is, you say your lines. That's not enough for me. And I'm thankful that I've been able to find that. And then again, I'm thankful that I've been able to find a career where I can also be a businesswoman, because that is also something I was looking for, was a way to have control and be a bit of an entrepreneur and take risks and have employees and whatever it ultimately will end up being.
Oh, that's amazing. And I so admire the way that you were able to take the risk and do that on your own terms, because after the acting and the trial and error with the acting, I know that you had mentioned earlier you had done the food YouTube and the food hosting. And that's when you and I knew each other. And I remember you were doing well there. I think that you had just come back from filming a show with like a llama or something. So you were doing well. And then all of a sudden, and I remember you were actually telling me about feeling peckish when we first met. And then you did this whole switch over to the sketch comedy on YouTube. Was it scary walking away from almost like this niche that you made for yourself and this audience who had come to know you for a specific thing?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was scary. Thank you for saying the food stuff was successful, because I do underplay that a little bit. And I think past Julie would be like a little bit upset, because I did work really hard at it and I was really proud of what I did. But I think ultimately, there comes a time in any career where you just kind of got to look at the way forward. Like, what does the next 5 years look like? And for me to be more of a food host, to like lean more into that side of things, it was going to take me further from acting. But yeah, I had a lot of support from my husband. He also does these projects with me, and he's a director, and it also wasn't really what he wanted to do. And so we kind of had to sit down. This was like before, I'll never forget this, because this was like a very important time in our careers, and it was right before COVID. So it was all the more risky. We just didn't realize. But we had potential to renew the contract for our cooking show, and we were sitting down, and I was just like, Sam, do you want to do this anymore? And he was like, well, it's up to you. He was like, I'm on the ride if you're on the ride. But he was like, if you don't want to do this, like, he was like, I will get another job. You can get another, like, we just need to do what makes us happy. Like, and this is not making us happy anymore. There's not a lot of creativity. There's not a lot of joy. And I was like, okay, so we won't do it. And so we turned down the contract. And it was basically turning down a year's worth of work for 2 people. So, and that's our whole household income. So it was very risky, but at the same time, I think like we're such a team. And I think because we were so on the same page and we were both prepared to make sacrifices for the other person's career to make sure we could uplift them, I felt confident enough to do it. That being said, then COVID hit, and then there was like nothing. And I was like, oh, maybe we should have taken that contract. Shit.
Oh, man. Okay. So then after you turn down that contract and you go 100% into comedy, what was that like for you?
It felt good. It felt a little bit bumpy. I had been doing comedy sketches. I'd been posting them kind of intermittently on YouTube and just kind of feeling out what the audience wanted. But But we took a big hit. I think I lost about half my subscribers in
Wow.
doing the transition. Yeah. And the views went down to virtually, I think I was averaging maybe like 8 to 10,000 views a video, and they went down to just under 1,000 views a video.
Wow.
So basically the whole YouTube channel went dormant. And of course there's like a voice in the back of your head going, did I just make the biggest mistake of my career? What am I doing? But what I've learned what I learned during that process, so many things, but because we were then creating content and videos in a vacuum where virtually no one was watching, we got to take risks. We've had that feeling once again of being invincible, like nobody could touch us. We were doing it for the love of making things. And that and we learned that I really didn't need the validation of views or monetary validation, because I just knew that we were on the right path. So, yeah, it was bumpy. The first 2 sketches were not good, but I got good really quick because you're making weekly content. So you end up churning out enough things that you kind of can refine and you get good. And we've streamlined our whole process. And now we're pretty good at it.
Were you ever a perfectionist, or were you always okay with the trial and error of everything?
I think I probably was a perfectionist at the beginning. But once again, that's the beauty of YouTube, is that done is better than perfect, because you are at the mercy of this YouTube algorithm that is like begging you to create weekly content. And if you're not creating weekly, you're kind of doing some damage to your own channel. So with that machine or that pressure, you can't be perfect. You have to have an idea and just say, okay, we're going to lean into this one. No, this is not groundbreaking. It's not going to win any awards, but we just need something to throw up this week. And that's kind of nice, because then you get into these real dark areas of writer's block where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to come up with something? And you just pull an idea out of your ass and you make it, and you end up surprising yourself, because it never would have gotten made if you were a perfectionist, or if you had been so precious about each and every idea.
Where do you get the bravery or the motivation to keep going in those moments, especially in the early stages of your comedy YouTube, when you said that nobody was watching, basically? What did you want to achieve with comedy? Like, what motivated you?
I think I wanted to create things that were really original. And so there were definitely some flops, but I think my main driver was I want to make something I haven't seen before, which is virtually impossible when you think about it on the internet with TikTok and whatnot. But that was like my mission starting out. And so that led me down the rabbit hole of, finding really interesting characters. Sometimes if I was really lacking inspiration, I would just pick like a qualifier, like a British accent, let's say. And that would be like the kind of guiding light of writing a sketch. The only thing is, like, one character has to have a British accent. And sometimes that'll help you get out of writer's block a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to make something I hadn't seen before. And when we were making sketches, there weren't a ton of women making comedy sketches. So I was kind of in this like weird man's domain. And so I felt like I had different things to say, which was kind of nice. It was kind of like an open market for talking about lady things, or talking about life, like human relatability things, but just from a female perspective.
I wonder if all the women went to theater school and were told that they weren't funny, which is still so messed up.
I mean, back in the day, that was like, yeah, that was their thing. They just love it. Was like the faculty were on a power trip.
Always. I feel like that's always what happens. And then I felt like with YouTube, you were able to almost go around it, and you were able to create and find an audience in your own way without the restraint of whoever was the established authority or whoever makes the quote unquote rules about how all of this works.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so true. Like, YouTube offers you so much control over what you make, which is I think sometimes I downplay it how much work that is, because it's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
make whatever you want. It's so much fun. But it's like you have to be a self-starter. You have to be, you're the boss. You're the one who gets you up in the morning. You're the one who's in control of what gets made, when it gets made, who's creating the deadline. And so that aspect of it, like a person's really got to learn that skill set.
Oh, 100%. And you have to be able to do all of that and push through, even if there's not that immediate return, even if you feel like you're doing it and you're not sure if anyone is listening or they're watching.
Yeah, I think I heard a really great podcast. My friend of mine, Marquez, he makes a tech channel called MKBHD. And somebody was asking about advice on, they wanted to start YouTube and what should they do. And he was saying, like, the number one mistake people make is when they decide they want to be a content creator or an influencer, is they do it with the aspiration of getting views.
Mhm.
And he was like, if you're going to be a tech YouTuber, like, you really got to love tech, because what's likely going to happen is you're going to make hundreds of videos that nobody sees. And have any sort of longevity in this career, you've got to be prepared to do your craft, make your art when nobody's watching. And then, you bang your head against the wall enough times and maybe somebody will tune in. But it can't be for that reason, because you will just burn out. You'll fall out of love with it and you'll do something else.
That's truly such inspirational advice, truly. As I'm new into this world and now I'm establishing myself outside of people knowing me from reality TV, I'm like, okay, I hope people are willing to go on the journey with me, but I have to just stick with it and hope that something sticks.
Yeah.
In your case, you did have the hit during the pandemic, the explaining the pandemic to my past self videos. I feel like so many people have asked you about these. I'm going to ask you again. Can you explain the story of these videos, how you came up with the idea, the story of even posting them, and what's gone on since then?
Okay, so it was right in March of 2020, and my husband and I everyone was in lockdown, and we just kind of had this running joke of, because of course we had not signed that contract, we had a lot of travel planned, and yeah, we just had this we had this internal joke of like, God, if only we had known in January, like how we would have done things so differently. And then we had, we would get into it. We'd be like, oh yeah, I would have invested in Zoom. I would have stocked up on toilet paper. Yeah, I maybe would have got a dog. You're just joking about it. And then there was one week where I was out of a sketch, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to make? So I just started writing basically that joke that we had. And, but of course, because we had been saying it in the house for a couple weeks, when we went to film it, I was like, this isn't funny. This is like, everybody feels this way
Wow.
already. And I was like, whatever, I'll just edit it. We'll like get it out. It'll be a video that we like phoned in. And I actually sent it to a friend of mine beforehand. And I was like, is this really bad? I was like, am I getting really bad at this? And because to me, I was so numb to that joke. And I just had assumed that everybody else was making it as well. This whole idea of like talking to your past self. And she was like, no, I think it's pretty relatable. I was like, okay, I'll post it. If you say so. And thank God I did, because it kind of changed my life a little bit. But yeah, it turns out a person is not the best judge of their own work. And it started going viral. It took about a week, maybe 4 days actually. It started going viral on Facebook, and then it found its way to the front page of Reddit, and then kind of everywhere I posted it, people would share it. So that was really cool. That was really weird and very cool. But yeah, it was just a snowball effect afterwards. I mean, it's like every YouTuber dreams of is having a video that, puts you on the map, especially when you've been doing it for so long.
I was so proud of you in that time, because I remember seeing, oh, now Julie's on a morning show, or now she's being interviewed here. And I was just so proud of you, knowing that we had started boxing and now you've done all this. And it's so wild to me because I felt like so much of the narrative around it was, oh, she blew up on YouTube. She blew up. And I'm thinking, no, there is so much work that went into it before you even saw it. So did you feel like, I don't know, people were thinking of you almost like an overnight success and didn't realize everything that came before?
You know, I think I guess on like a surface level, I think people would see that video and be like, hey, that's the pandemic girl, which is such a horrible nickname. That's the last nickname I want. But you know, for the most part, everyone I've talked to, every outlet I've done interviews for, it's like a little more, I don't know. I think people recognize that there must have been more work that went into it. And I was lucky enough, I mentioned before that I had videos, hundreds of videos on my channel that nobody had really seen before, but they were good. But I just kind of got lost in the algorithm. And so I was lucky because when the video took off, when it went viral, all of my remaining videos, like all the videos in my entire catalog, proceeded to get hundreds of thousands of views. So in that way, I think I had my own little like validation of like, see, I'm not a flash in the pan. You know, yeah, you guys like this video, but look at this entire catalog. Look at this entire library of content that everyone is now enjoying. Yeah, I never felt like an overnight success. I think maybe some people thought that, but you have to do like the slightest amount of Googling to go, oh no, she's been at it for a while.
Oh yeah. And it's amazing that finally all of this work that you had done over the last few years, all of the videos you had made, finally they reached the audiences that they deserved.
That's the dream. That's why we make stuff.
Did you find that this series of videos opened up more doors for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It put me on the map for sure. I think in terms of like the traditional industry, I was getting lost in the ether a little bit as just kind of another white millennial female actor. It definitely like brought an awareness to casting directors of who I was. I like to think that it also did some serious validation for YouTube creators in Canada, because that's something that I always found a little bit frustrating, was this stigma, and it's in Canada namely. I feel like the States is a little more advanced in that YouTube creators have blown up and they've been bigger here and they've moved into the traditional media easier. But in Canada, I found the stigma of YouTube creators just not being talented, or it coming too easy for creators, or us not putting our time in the trenches, so we don't deserve, you know, it's and maybe some of that I'm putting on myself and I'm projecting a little bit, but I think the reality is if a person is creating online content and they're putting that time and effort in, they're going to get good really fast. And I think it's really naive to like sleep on TikTokers and, you know, people that are grinding and putting out that content because they've got eyeballs watching them. They already come with audiences. They're very talented. They can wear multiple hats as writers and performers and editors. And I would love in Canada to see more transitions, more talent taken from TikTok and YouTube and brought into the traditional industry and celebrated a little more.
For sure. I also think it's kind of funny how these professors you had in theater school said, okay, do this because this is what people like you normally do. You do it, right. You don't find success. Then you're like, screw it, I'm going to do whatever I want on this platform that this instructor probably doesn't believe have any credibility. Yeah. And then you blow up, and then now you're getting booked for the more traditional opportunities. So
that's so true.
Screw what people say, truly.
That's so true. You know what though? A part of it is right place, right time, because we're at a really, really interesting place where the internet is becoming like a valid source of great online content and great entertainers. And so I feel lucky to be at this time where, you know, YouTube is getting a little bit of validity in Canada, and it's like nice to cross over. But also at the same time, I can like still have my own business and have my own audience. I think I enjoy both, I enjoy working in the traditional industry and being an actor, but I would never give up what I've built on YouTube.
Okay, I was going to ask you, like, now that I see that you are on TV, you are booking movie roles, what role does YouTube play for you as you move forward?
I think, well, okay, I have so many thoughts on this because I have been doing YouTube for almost 10 years now, and I'm a little bit tired. It's just like I'm just a little bit burnt out from the grind. I have to figure out, and this is my own work, but I just have to figure out what my voice is and kind of what I want it to be going forward. Everything's changing very fast, and I don't know that I want to move into TikTok and shorter content. So anyway, that's my own garbage. I have to figure out where I fit. In terms of film and TV, though, it's I really enjoy it as like an additional thing, like a nice padding to my career. It's fun. It's fun to be a part of. I love the collaborative aspect. I love that there's bigger budgets, so you can make cooler shit. But what you lack is like it takes so long. You're limited by the roles that you get cast in. And you don't have any sort of control. And so for me, I think I need both. And I think I have to find a way to straddle that line between both the traditional industry and the online industry and maintain both. And I do feel a sense of obligation to my online community because I wouldn't be here without them. And I think that it's important that I kind of keep stoking the fire that got me here. And keep making sure that audience feels satiated. That's so weird. But yeah, just, I'm here because of that community. I get all these wonderful opportunities because of that community. So I need to continue to create content for that community.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thank you to all the watchers. It's true. It's such a two-way relationship. I think that anytime there's an artist and there's a fan, it's a two-way relationship, but I feel like in the online space, that's even more amplified. So thank you, everybody, for watching Julie, and thank you for everyone who's listening.
Thank you. We wouldn't be here without them. Yeah, I am truly so thankful. I think that, it's easy to forget what an important role the viewers play in all of this,
Have you had any funny moments where you've been recognized in person?
I did have a funny one. This is going to sound like a huge ego stroke, but I will say it doesn't happen often. I wish it happened more because I really, really enjoy meeting viewers, but I was in Italy and
international.
It was international. My husband and I, but it gets even better. We were in this like tiny medieval town. I found this epic Airbnb, super affordable, like up this windy road. It was like this old medieval castle, basically, that overlooked these vineyards. It was incredible. I'll give you the link for it. It was such a great vacation. Anyway, but we had to you have to drive into town in order to get groceries and whatnot. And so we're in this tiny, tiny town that I could only imagine maybe had like 800 people in it. And somebody freaking recognized me in the store. And he had the thickest Italian accent. And I was like, how, what? He's like, yeah, explain the pandemic. And I was like, that's me. That's so cool. Where are we? Yeah, that was really cool. It was in Grieve is the town.
That is so cool. That speaks to how well your comedy really touches on the human experience and is so relatable. And I think that speaks to why that series was so special, because you were able to just really articulate and capture something that we were all feeling and we didn't really know how to express. And I'm so happy you had that moment. That's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of times I do feel quite disconnected from the fans, partially because I'm making stuff in my own house. All you got to do is press upload, and then you see the comments flood in, and you sometimes forget that those are associated with real people on the other side of that computer. Unlike theater, where the people are right there, and if they like it, they're going to clap. And so meeting audience members, fans, whatever it is, I really enjoy, because those. It's just like a reminder that your stuff is reaching people. It's not going into this empty void. they're real people on the other side who are laughing, or you're affecting their day, or, maybe you're helping them cope through something. I don't know. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you, people. Thank you. Okay, so I want to try this thing. I haven't done this before. The podcast is called Happy to See Me. So I want to give you situations, and you can tell me either people or things that you would be happy to see in this situation.
Okay.
So the first one is, you walk into your dream writer's room. Who would you be happy to see in the room?
I would be happy to see a woman named Jen Goodhue. She is an incredible writer. She's a veteran writer. She's just got so many amazing shows under her belt, but I just think she's so funny. And I've worked with her once before, and she's got ridiculous ideas. She's got the brain of a child. And I just want to steal her brain and use it as my own. So I'd love if she was there.
Julie stealing child's brains. There you go.
Well, she's a fully grown woman. But
Okay. I know you're in LA, so what's something that you would be happy to see in LA? And it can also be real, or it could be fake.
I would be happy to see, I'd be happy to see a celebrity, like a cool one. But and
not one of the shitty ones.
No, not a shitty one. No. But like I don't even know if like Tina Fey lives here. But God, wouldn't it be so cool if she was like standing behind me in line while I was getting coffee? And then I'd be like, "Oh, I'll like get your coffee for you if you want." And then she'd ask me if like I want to sit down and chat or something. That I'd be happy with that.
I'm gonna manifest that for you. That's the amazing ultimate meet cute. Okay.
Thank you.
From your food days, what would you be happy to see on your dream sandwich?
I would be happy to see. I really, really like a Cubano.
Ooh, I love those.
I love the like pickly / like richness of the meat. So I would be happy to see whatever is on a Cubano in a sandwich. I want a Cubano. That's what I want. That's what I'd be happy about.
Great choice. Okay, and the last one. Who would you be happy to see as your next YouTube collab?
I would be happy to see his name is Brian Jordan Alvarez, and he is genuinely one of the funniest people I think on the internet in the world. I think he's so brilliant, and I actually DM'd him to try to make something, but I'm sure got lost in the plethora of DMs that he probably gets. But I first saw him, so he's based in LA, and I first saw him, he made a series called The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo, and it's amazing. It's so, so good, and he just made it with his friends, just as a thing. Like, we all take risks, and we all do passion projects, and he made this thing, and it is so, so good. And now he creates amazing things on TikTok and Instagram, and he's on big shows now, of course, because he's so talented. But look him up, Brian Jordan Alvarez.
All right. Brian, if you're watching this, respond to Julie's DM, okay?
Please. Oh, but it's so lame. Like, I almost want to do the unsend thing, because it's like, hey, my name is Julie Nolke. I'm a big fan of yours. It's like, it looks like spam. I have to figure out like a cool, chill way to slide in,
Keep it, honestly, because I feel like years from now, you're going to tweet that screenshot for some reason. I don't know. You'll be like, haha, remember when I was so desperate to get him, and now we're best friends? Now we're sitting down to chat with Tina Fey over coffee. Like, I think keep it.
That's so true. That is something I wonder. Like, I will say, as like a business strategy, I'm the queen of cold emails or cold DMs. Like, if I think somebody's amazing, and not as like a cloud chaser, not because I want something from them, but if I think they're amazing, I feel like they need to be told.
Yeah.
And so I have definitely DM'd people before, and then like met them significantly later, and we start a different Instagram chat, and they can just see the message that they never saw, like from 2 years ago. Yeah, I'm a total loser. But you know what? Being kind and generous, I think, in any industry, and very supportive goes a long way. And I would encourage anybody who is in any industry, but particularly in the arts, is be supportive and give love because you'll get it back.
I 100% agree. And I've loved chatting with you today, Julie. Can you tell everybody where they can find you, what's next, all of that fun stuff?
Absolutely. So my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Julie Nolke, and that's where you can see my weekly sketches. And also, we are currently in the midst of season 2 of Run the Burbs. So you can catch that on CBC Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. or it's all on CBC Gem and you can just binge it. But yeah, check it out. It's a great show.
Oh, I love that show. Truly, I just had Ann Pornell on the show. Love her. I think Andrew Fung is hilarious. I think he's so nice. I've never met him in person. We've actually also only had weird DMs. So maybe weird DMs will pay off. You're not the only one, but I think he's awesome. And I love you on that show. You're hilarious.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's a wonderful show to be a part of. I'm really proud of it. Really proud of season 2. It's just been so good so far. So, yeah, I'm excited for what's to come. Also, we have so many like juicy episodes that still have not aired yet. So I'm very excited.
Ooh, okay, I cannot wait. Everyone tune in. All right. Thank you, Julie. Thanks so much for chatting today.
Thank you, Erika.